Another day in Trump's America. We have breaking news. I'm sure you guys have seen by now the shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota, of the ICE agent killing a U.S. citizen, which has now been confirmed on MSNBC, MS Now. U.S. citizen has been killed, murdered by an ICE agent. We're not going to show you guys the clips here. I'm sure you've seen them by now. They're all over X and social media, different angles. I think there's about 3 or 4 different angles of this shooting, and you can see for yourself what's going on there. But we're going to show you guys the remarks from the mayor of Minneapolis. He has some strong words to say to ICE.
There's little I can say, again, that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave. It's on you to make sure that further damage, further loss of life and injury is not done. We're going to be working towards justice as quickly as we possibly can right now, and justice is what we've all got to get.
Strong words from the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, to ICE. And here is the message from Trump on the matter. I have just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator, and the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer who seems to have shot her in self-defense. Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is alive, but is now recovering in the hospital. The situation is being studied in its entirety, but the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. They are just trying to do the job of making America safe. We need to stand by and protect our law enforcement officers from this radical left movement of violence and hate. President Donald J. Trump. Wow, it seems like every day we cover a new post from Trump, he just outdoes himself. It was not too long ago we had the remarks of Rob Reiner's death, how he attributed that to him having TDS, dying tragically, being murdered by his own son, and his wife also tragically passing away. A horrifying moment that Trump turned into a political game of here's why he died. He didn't like me enough. And here we see Trump back at it again. Of course, all over this story, because it's national headline news. Everyone's talking about it. Just couldn't help himself and just step into this and politicize the hell out of it, spur more violence, fan the flames, denounce the radical left as he always does. Mike, what do you make of all this stuff that we're seeing on this breaking news day?
I mean, first and foremost, this is obviously very tragic. This is something that is kind of not too big of a surprise, but definitely shocking. The violence from ICE has been getting worse and worse and worse. This is not the first time they've shot somebody, but it is the first time they've killed somebody, as far as I'm aware. So it's tough to talk about. It's tough to analyze, but something that I think is important to highlight, though, is the response here from these officials. The mayor has very strong words for ICE, telling them to get out of the city and leave. Hopefully that will reduce violence. And then you have Tim Walz, who also said, hey, if you protest, do so peacefully as you always do. So they're both advocating for peace and, violence reduction. Meanwhile, you have Trump, who's inciting violence. He's saying, oh, well, here's the radical left doing what they do, when he doesn't need to say any of this. He could just simply say, hey, a woman was killed. This is tragic. We're investigating it, and leave it at that. Or he could say, there's any number of things that he could say. I'm not here to write Trump's post for him. But the fact of the matter is he said what he has said, and he's made it all about building a narrative. He's talking about this woman screaming as being a professional agitator, which again goes back to this thing of people only protest us because George Soros paid them and blah, blah, blah. It's so frustrating and disgusting to see that even when U.S. citizens are killed by ICE, which is something that Kristi Noem was just saying, if you're a member of if you're a citizen, there's no reason to fear us. A citizen was killed by ICE and they were leaving. They were driving away. Now, granted, you could argue maybe they were fleeing the scene. Sure, all that, but that comes down to law enforcement. People run from the cops all the time. Cops typically don't just open fire right away. So this comes to, in my opinion, this is just, a poorly trained officer. He overreacted. And, we'll see what happens when hopefully there's a court case on this. I definitely want to keep up with this and make sure that justice is served. But yeah, I mean, it's very, very tough to talk about. And I think that now is not the time to be promoting violence. Now is not the time to be advocating for ramping things up. We should be saying, look, a tragedy occurred here. Let's step back. Let's defuse. And let's calm things down, because that's what we've been needing for years now, is more and more unity. But stuff like this from the president just gets more and more divisive. When the people in this area, the officials, the mayor and the governor, when they are saying one thing, but the president is saying another, I think that divide is, it just points to leadership, and the president needs to lead.
Trump doesn't know anything about this woman like the rest of us, and he's already putting names on her and calling her radical left. He has no idea who she is. I don't even think we have a name yet. And Trump is already pinning her on the radical left. It's just insane, the point where we're at. And look, this reminds me a lot of the George Floyd incident from 2020, also under Trump, where I remember one of the big talking points for that was like, hey, you know what? From this, at least one good thing is like, maybe we should give every police officer, law enforcement agent a body cam so that when they're on duty and they're doing these things and apprehending people or whatever, we can actually have a recording of the event that's going on. There is no federal mandate for ICE agents to wear body cams. And that to me is a crime in and of itself. They should all be wearing body cams. They already cover their faces to protect their identities. And the reason that we know they do that is because they do crimes. I mean, ICE commits crimes, but they're all protected from it because it's very hard to tell who and what they are. And they don't even wear name badges or anything. Look, this is Trump's little mini Gestapo that he's got here, in my opinion. And they need to have something like either remove the face mask so they can be identified so that they know that they can't get away with killing people, or they should be wearing body cams so that we can know from their perspective what we were seeing. If there was a body cam on this guy, then at least we could tell, like, okay, he was really threatened. But from all the footage that we've been seeing, the woman was turning to the right. She was turning away from the scene and away from the agent, and she was clearly not trying to run him over. If she was trying to run him over, she would be driving either straight or driving to the left. She did none of those. She went to the right. So clearly she just wanted to get out of there. And yes, that, that's fleeing the scene is not something that people should be doing under law enforcement, but I don't believe that's a capital punishment, nor do I believe that it's something that officers should be shooting to kill for. And I think they are trained specifically not to do that. So this is just a sad moment. Another day in the chaos of being under this president. And I hope that some good can come out of this, but I really don't see what that could be. Like I said, maybe we can have another conversation on body cams, but we'll see what happens. I really hope that this trial, whatever happens going forward, is very closely paid attention to, and the mainstream media is keeping us in the loop, and it's everywhere because it should be. This should be one of the biggest things that we pay attention to. Unfortunately, there's so much going on. The economy is collapsing. The Epstein files, they broke the laws on that. There's so much else going on. We just kidnapped the leader of a sovereign nation in Venezuela, and it's already it's just the beginning of the year. Like we're a week in to 2026 and we're already dealing with all kinds of chaos. But look, just another day under Trump. What can we expect?